Greetings and good day, everyone. My name is Paul Dulong, and welcome to another episode of PNT Cinema Talk. I missed doing the show yesterday due to being sick, and of course the day I missed is a day where a whole lot of information comes out. So that leaves me with quite a bit to talk about today, so let's get started. Hey, so in a recent interview, Jennifer Lawrence made it known that X-Men Apocalypse is going to be her last X-Men movie. She did not say if this was just because her contract was over, or if she just had no further interest in the character, although she has gone on record several times saying that the makeup process of becoming Mystique is a bit of a pain in the ass. This woman is one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood right now, so if anyone gets to choose what she does next, it's certainly her. But of course the fanboy in me is a little bit sad because she really did rock it as Mystique. And Rebecca Romijn Stamos was great, but Jennifer Lawrence is better. Of course, in this day and age, all it takes is the right script with the right paycheck to change anyone's mind. Not saying that it will happen, or it won't happen, but it's certainly a possibility with the way things are going these days. One of the best parts of X-Men Days of Future Past was that it did focus on Mystique a little bit more than usual. I love Wolverine just as much as the next guy, but when your movie is called X-Men, it should be about more than just him. So I was really glad to see Mystique given a larger role to play in that film. So what do you guys think about Jennifer Lawrence being finished with X-Men? Are you glad? Sad? Do you like her as Mystique? If you could recast Mystique, who would your suggestion be? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm really interested to hear. Alright, so next up is Vivica A. Fox is reprising her role in Independence Day 2. She played the love interest of Will Smith's character in the original Independence Day, and it looks like their son is going to be the main character of the sequel. I mean, I'm all for people from the original coming back, but since Will Smith is not attached to this film, I think it's kind of pointless to even have anyone that was connected to him be in the sequel. I mean, that film made Will Smith a bona fide movie star when that first came out. I have sort of mixed feelings about this movie in general. I loved the first one, don't get me wrong. That's one of the first movies I ever went to go see twice in the theater. And I think Will Smith has spent so much time trying to make his children superstars that his own stardom kind of fell a little bit in the process. The one thing I am happy about so far is Jeff Goldblum returning to this movie. This makes me very happy. And part of what made the first film work so well was the back and forth dialogue between Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith. It's going to be sad not to have that this time around. This film is also going to star Liam Hemsworth, and let me tell you, that is not my favorite Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth can act, Liam cannot. I saw him in all these Hunger Game movies, and he blew chunks. Of course, just like anyone else, he can get better as he goes along. I hope he does, but for now, he's not really a credit to your movie. So yeah, Vivica A. Fox is back, but now they have to explain where Will Smith's character is. Their son's the main character. That's stupid to me. Just bring in someone else that has nothing to do with them, you know? Because now we're going to be thinking, well, where the hell's Will Smith? I mean, this is a movie about huge alien invasions. Surely there are enough stories to tackle that doesn't involve leeching off of a character that's not even going to be in this movie. But that's just what I think. What do you think? After a whole lot of online speculation, it looks like we're finally going to know who's going to be Spider-Man. And I don't mean the actor who's going to play him, I mean the character itself. There's been a lot of debate on whether it's going to be Peter Parker or Miles Morales. Well, it looks like we have our answer. Marvel's Chief Creative Officer Joe Quesada was recently asked by a fan what it would take to make the perfect Spider-Man movie. And this was his answer that he gave. The trick to making any incarnation of Spider-Man great, whether comics, animation, or film, is Peter Parker. Get Peter's character right, and the rest falls into place. I mean, this is a no-brainer to me. There are some things that just have to be. Batman is Bruce Wayne, Superman is Clark Kent, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That's it. You gotta do that. And, you know, I understand a lot of people would like to see more racial diversity on screen. They really wanted Miles Morales. I think you can still have Miles Morales, and I hope they do that storyline. But first, you gotta get Peter Parker right, because it just hasn't been happening lately. And while there's no casting as of yet, one of the best things I'm hearing about this is that they're actually looking at casting a real 16-year-old. To get a real teenager to be Peter Parker. I mean, it's one thing to get someone to pretend to be 16, but to have a real teenager on screen, that's good. I like to have a little bit of authenticity along with my popcorn. And to Miles Morales fans, all I have to say is, be patient. If you make your opinion known well enough online, maybe they'll listen. I mean, that's something Sony can do. They want to expand their Spider-Verse anyway. But first things first, it begins with Peter Parker. Let's get it right. Then move on and get Miles Morales right. We can all win here. Just chill out. So what about you? Are you glad that Peter Parker is going to be the new Spider-Man, or were you really hoping for Miles Morales? Next up, we have a bit of Wonder Woman news. We've known for a while that Wonder Woman is going to be the daughter of Zeus in the film, but we were never given a clear idea about what powers she'll actually have until now. Recently, Gal Gadot came out and said, "She has unbelievable endurance. She's exceptionally strong. She can jump really high and practically fly. She knows tons of martial arts styles. She is a strong and serious woman." So that description sounds fine to me. I'd have liked it better if she could just straight out fly. Superman should have a little bit of company up there that's not trying to kill him. That'd be nice. But for what it is, I'm okay with it. I was never a huge fan of Gal Gadot being cast in this role to begin with. In fact, at first I was downright angry about it. Partially because of how she looked, but more importantly because she has not proven herself as an actress yet. She was quite horrible in the Fast and Furious films, and I just don't enjoy her on-screen presence. Don't get me wrong, as much as I hated the fact that she was cast, now that she is and I can't do anything about it, I have to cheer her on because I want this movie to be good. So, go Gal Gadot, knock it out of the park. Or else. The first look we got at her at last year's Comic-Con did calm me down a bit because she looked awesome in that picture. But looking awesome does not mean you can act, so she still has a long way to go to impress me. And the Wonder Woman movie is going to be directed by Michelle MacLaren, who has never directed a movie before. However, she has done a lot of episodes on certain TV shows that I'm sure you've heard of, such as Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, and Breaking Bad. So at the very least, I'm hoping this movie is going to be serious and gritty. What do you think about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman? What do you think of the powers that she's going to have in this movie? Do you think she should fly, shouldn't fly, less strong than Superman, as strong as Superman? Should she have the invisible jet? And do you think Linda Carter will cameo? Love to hear what you think. Alright, next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is officially going to start filming in April. And I mean in the month of April, not Megan Fox's character. It's a PG movie, folks. Alright, but at least good news to all the naysayers is that this movie will not have the same director as the first. This sequel will be directed by David Green. He directed last year's Earth to Echo, which I have not seen yet, so I can't really speculate on how well or poor he will do. The idea of a new director is certainly interesting. I mean, as much as I love the original, it did have a few problems that are hard to ignore. Perhaps a new director will fix all that for the sequel. They are certainly not saying much about the plot details for this film just yet, which I'm fine with, but they have at least announced that Bebop and Rocksteady will be in this film, and that makes me very happy and curious to see what they're going to look like. A lot of people thought that the Turtles looked monstrous compared to what they originally looked like. So if the Turtles look that scary, just imagine what Bebop and Rocksteady are going to look like. I hope they are terrifying. But no matter how many people loved or hate the first one, it still managed to go on to make $485 million worldwide. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That is good. Let's do it again. Let's make it better than the first. This franchise is not beyond saving. Let's get the naysayers over on my side. Have fun with these films. These are not Oscar contenders. They're there to sell the popcorn and maybe a few toys. What do you think about Ninja Turtles 2 being put into production? Are you excited for it? Do you care? Are you going to see it in the theater? Let me know. Alright, next up we have a bit of Avengers news. Not Avengers Age of Ultron, but Avengers Infinity War. That movie is going to actually be two movies, Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. And it looks like they're zeroing in on the director for that. Or should I say, directors. Looks like Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War directors, the Russo brothers, are going to be taking on these next two Avengers movies as well. I have mixed feelings about that, seeing as how, yeah, they did great with Winter Soldier, but that's like their only good movie. They also directed You, Me, and Dupree, so there's that to consider. And I know we're all excited for Civil War. I want to see Civil War, but let's see Civil War before locking them into something as big as the Avengers. Hey, we all know that Joss Whedon can use a break. He's been doing really well with the Avengers franchise thus far, But the guy needs a break. Every time I hear about any interviews that have gone with him, the guy just looks drained and ragged. This is a huge project. And the fact that they're going to be filming 2 Avengers films at once is probably something he wants nothing to do with. But I guess that's also the advantage of having 2 directors as opposed to 1. The Russo brothers can handle a bigger plate than just one person. And I certainly like what they've shown us so far. I just hope they keep showing us great stuff and not get drained and lose their creativity. Everybody loved the first 2 Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, but once he did number 3, that's when it fell off the wagon. Why? Because occasionally franchises need a fresh take on the subject. Hopefully with the 2 of them at least, they'll keep each other on point. Disney's sure showing them a whole lot of confidence, and that makes me feel good because Disney ain't no fool. And I'm okay with their optimism because they're certainly not idiots over there. They're killing it at the box office every time they release a superhero movie. I mean, the Russos certainly raised the bar of what a superhero movie could be with Captain America Winter Soldier. So as long as they can make these fantastical characters somehow seem relevant to our day-to-day lives, if they can keep doing that, then I'm all in. But what do you think? Do you think that Marvel should just keep using the same directors over and over again? Or do you like seeing a variety of directors get a chance to bring their take into the world? Next up is a little bit of news concerning The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, in his role as Black Adam. During a recent interview, Dwayne Johnson had this to say about his character. Starting off properly is him not being a hero. That's got to be earned, so he starts off as a slave. And he's pissed off, and people are going to pay. But eventually, down the line, he'll become an anti-hero. Okay, I'm not really sure what that means, anti-hero. As far as I know, Black Adam was always a villain. I mean, wasn't the whole point of Billy Batson becoming Shazam to counteract how crazy the Black Adam was getting? I mean, don't get me wrong, I think The Rock is going to be great in this role. It just seems strange to me that he's going to be an anti-hero or hero at all, because he just doesn't strike me as a hero. He should be the villain. So DC definitely came out and said that they want their movies to feel a little bit more edgier than Marvel's, and I guess realism means that the lines between good and evil get a little blurry. So if that's the case, I can understand this decision. But at the same time, there has to be a reason for Shazam to actually come into the universe. I'm not sure I want to see The Rock fighting alongside the Justice League. I'd rather see him taking on the Justice League. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Do you think Black Adam should be an anti-hero, or do you think he should be straight-on hardcore villain? And speaking of the DC Universe, today we got our first look at Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. That picture hit the web earlier this morning, and so far I think the response has been relatively positive. I know at first a lot of people were worried. There were a lot of concerns that he might not even go bald. I'm happy to say that he is bald, and that's good. I like creative influence just as much as the next guy, but sometimes you just gotta keep things the way they are. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think Jesse Eisenberg may actually be a decent Lex Luthor. He looks exactly what I would expect a newly found billionaire to look like. I mean, he's gonna be young, he's gonna be cocky as hell, and at least in this universe, I think he might actually be a good contrast to Henry Cavill's Superman. As much as I really loved Man of Steel, and believe me, I loved Man of Steel, it was missing Lex. Batman has the Joker, Superman has Lex Luthor. And sadly, we've seen Lex done far better on TV than we ever have at the big screen. I'm hoping this will be the film that finally changes that. But what do you all think? Do you think he's going to be a good Lex? Do you like what he looks like? If you weren't excited about him at first, does seeing him bald change your perspective any? I'm very curious to know what you think. As always, let me know in the comments section below. Alright, that about does it for today's show. That was a lot of comic book stuff. It was fun for me, that's for sure. Tomorrow we're going to have a bunch of new stuff to talk about, and I will be back tomorrow for sure. So until then, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourself a pleasant day. They say cats help increase your views. Look! Look!